I, F35, recently bought a house by myself for the first time, after saving like crazy for 3 years and then selling my flat in the city. The house is nothing fancy, but it has 3 bedrooms, a back garden, and space for my dogs to run around. I'm really hoping that this will be my forever home. I know that I'm very fortunate to be able to do this, especially as a single woman on her own. But I've also worked incredibly hard to get here. Lots of late nights at work, side gigs, and climbing the ladder where I've been able to. My younger brother, Jack, M33, is yet to have a full-time job in his adult life and still lives with our parents. He and I get along really well and I love him to pieces, but I've been concerned for a long time about his lack of motivation to do anything in life. He used to struggle badly with his mental health and I've always been there to support him, including financially at times. But he's been doing okay for a few years now and still has no interest in trying to find a job or start a career. He and my parents came over to see the house for the first time recently. While my mum and I were making dinner in the kitchen, she remarked how nice and spacious the house is. I thought she meant for the dogs, so I agreed with her. She then said, "It's so great that your dad and I know there's a place for Jack when we're not around anymore." I just stared at her for a second, processing what she had said. And then, without really thinking, I blurted out, "Jack's not coming to live with me. Ever." My mum thought I was joking at first, but I clarified what I meant. I love my brother, but I'm not interested in taking over the role that my parents currently play. I don't want him sitting on my sofa, playing video games and rotting away for the rest of our lives. My home is mine and I've worked hard to be able to create this space for myself. My mum was very upset with me and claimed that I was being selfish because I had a helping hand in buying my first flat, which allowed me to eventually buy this house. For context, the helping hand was the settlement I received after a workplace accident at age 19. She also said that there is no point in buying a house with 3 bedrooms if I'm planning to live alone forever. We finished making dinner and then managed to eat the meal without saying anything else about it. My parents and Jack went home, but I then got a call from my dad later on that night, saying that my mother was beside herself over thoughts of what would happen to Jack when both of them are gone. He said that I was being a bad big sister and that family is the most important thing in the world, so I should do my part to look after Jack when he's been so vulnerable in the past. I won't lie, what he said did get to me. I love my brother, and I do have the extra space. So, I am wondering. Comment 1. NTA. Bad sister? How about them being bad parents for not preparing their son for an independent life? That's their job. You don't have extra space. That space is all yours, well, yours and the dogs. No one gets to dictate to you what you do with your house or your money. Tell your parents they better start doing their job and get Jack up and running before it's too late. Comment 2. NTA. Plenty of people who struggle with their mental health work full-time jobs. If your parents want to coddle your 32-year-old brother so he can live his life like a perpetual teenager, that's their choice. However, it doesn't mean it's a burden you inherit after their passing. They have plenty of time to help your brother get himself sorted now they know that your brother will be on his own someday in the future. It's better this take a stance now so your parents don't live with the delusion that you'll take your brother and support him. Comment 3. No, sorry, but your parents' inability to raise your brother to be a contributing member of society you not your burden to assume. Your brother is not your responsibility. The family is everything line is just your parents trying to guilt you to take on a dependent, your brother. Enjoy your home. Nobody gets to inform you of who is welcome to move in. NTA. My son, Peter, 31M, is getting married to Ellie, 29F, in less than 3 months. I've never been very close to Ellie even though they've been together for nearly 7 years. She is not a very friendly person, and I've always had some concerns about her behavior. For instance, when they first started dating, my son lived with me and Ellie would come out to visit for the weekend. They were in a long-distance relationship. They would often cook dinner at our house, but would rarely invited me to join them. I found this to be incredibly rude, as it felt like they were excluding me in my own home. There was also an incident where she was using the washing machine when it overflowed, which completely warped my hardwood floors and led to me having to cancel a dinner party I had been planning for weeks while I got someone out to fix them. Over the years, she's barely made an effort to get to know me, and every overture I've made has been rebuffed. I even made her a birthday dinner one year and she said she felt sick, which delayed dinner for everyone else, and it was cold by the time she was feeling better. Even when they got engaged, she didn't reach out. I gave them a not insignificant amount of money for the wedding, and I didn't even get a thank you card. She said thank you on a phone call later that week, but it was in passing and just seemed to be completely thoughtless. Most recently, I went to visit a few months ago and found myself incredibly worried with how Ellie talked to Peter. They got into a fight while I was there. I'm not sure what it was about, but I heard part of it and everything she said was just so cold and rude. I never even spoke that way to my ex-husband, even when I hated him. Ellie gave Peter the cold shoulder for an entire day, and refused to join us on any of the activities we had planned. I got the invitation to their wedding a few days ago, and just felt sick to my stomach. After thinking on it for a few days, I felt like I would be doing Peter a huge disservice if I didn't speak up about my concerns. I just don't see how he can actually be happy in this relationship. He did not take it well, and we ended up having a huge fight. He told me that me and Ellie's relationship is one of the biggest stressors in his life, and that Ellie has been a rock for him through some tough times over the last few years. He also berated me for never giving her a chance, even though I feel like I've done a lot. Now he's not taking my calls, and it looks like Ellie has blocked me, so I'm sure he told her what I said. I just want my son to be with someone who deserves him. Comment 1. How many years ago was the washing machine accident? Is there literally any reason to believe that she was responsible for it except that her clothes happened to be in it at the time? The fact that you'd remember something like that from years ago and count it against her, along with counting her feeling sick against her, feels like you've been looking for reasons to dislike her. It makes me not trust you as a narrator and suspect that YTA. Comment 2. YTA. You don't like Ellie. But you aren't going to marry Ellie, your son is, and he likes her fine. Your complaints are not about her character, you're mad that she doesn't kiss your butt enough. You really expect to be invited on your son's dates? And you're mad at someone for being sick on her own birthday? You blame her for an accident with the washing machine because, I don't know, you think she did it on purpose to ruin your dinner party? Your son loves this woman. Get over your grudges and your pettiness or you'll permanently damage your relationship. It might already be too late, and there is no one to blame here but yourself. Comment 3. YTA. Why do you want to go on dates with your son? Why can't your son send thank you notes? Why is it Ellie that has to build bridges and be the bigger person? You sounds cold and unpleasant, and like you have made yourself the main point of contention in their relationship. If you ever want to have a relationship with future grandchildren, you need to sort yourself out and learn to, be nice. 2 of my friends, Kate and Max, not real names, are getting married to each other, and I received an invitation that included loose guidelines for attire, not quite a strict dress code, but guidelines for men to wear a formal suit and tie with a please reach out with any questions addendum. Because I tend to wear a nice 8-yard kilt with a Prince Charlie or Braemar jacket and waistcoat when I am wearing formal attire, I reached out to Kate to ask if it would be appropriate and told my girlfriend, Sarah, also a fake name, that I hoped I could wear my kilt. Before I received a reply, Sarah told me that I absolutely cannot wear my kilt because it wouldn't be appropriate for a formal attire. Mind you, she has seen me in my kilt and PC for other formal events. But she said that she would leave it if the bride said it was okay. So all was good for a few days. Until Kate responded that it was great because Max would also be wearing a kilt, as would a handful of other people at the wedding. Initially, Sarah insisted that I still shouldn't wear a kilt because I would stand out too much because I won't be in the wedding party, until I pointed out that Kate explicitly said that she already knew some guests would be wearing kilts. But yesterday Max texted me because Sarah had asked him to tell me not to wear my kilt, and he was weirded out because he knew that I would ask to wear my kilt and thought it was strange for her to ask him about it. I was kind of hurt, and when I asked why she asked Max to tell me not to wear a kilt, she said that she thought it was the only way to get me not to embarrass her. I kind of get the embarrassment angle. I do sometimes get stares when I'm wearing a kilt in public, and I know that she is introverted. She also comes from a pretty conservative background, and when we first met she hadn't really encountered kilts before, and she has had some misgivings about me wearing them in the past. I admit I got kind of mad and told her that I didn't have to bring her as my +1, because I was the one who was invited. We got into an argument and she left pretty mad last night, and while I feel justified in my decision, I also don't know if I am in the wrong. Comment 1. NTA Sarah needs to get over herself. You'll actually be less likely to be stared at the wedding because others will be wearing kilts. And Sarah way overstepped by going to the groom behind your back. But do expect this to be a relationship-ending fight if you disinvite your girlfriend as your +1 to the wedding. Comment 2. NTA My husband is a kilt everyday guy. He has casual kilts for around the house, but I love going out with him, as he always gets compliments from men and women. I find that amazing, because men don't often comment on other men's clothes. I'm also not the jealous type, and enjoy my hubs being admired by other ladies. If your GF is embarrassed by the kilt, she needs to get over herself. They are a gorgeous piece of clothing with a long and proud history. Comment 3. NTA. If she's embarrassed by you wearing a kilt, then she has issues she needs to address. There's nothing embarrassing about a kilt. It is perfectly acceptable and normal attire for a wedding. Personally, that would be a "you're fired" moment. Not only did she repeatedly not accept the answer, but she then went behind your back to try and get the groom to tell you that you couldn't wear it. I could see if you were about to wear an orange tux like from Dumb and Dumber. But this is something that millions of people have worn at their own wedding and as a guest. I, 28F, am pregnant with my first child. We have not revealed the gender of our baby yet or the name. But the name has been a very heavily discussed topic because my stepmom of 20 years and her family have a naming tradition where the girls get the middle name Elizabeth and the boys get the middle name Gabriel. This is something they do with all their kids, and they get unique to the family first names. When I was pregnant before I miscarried, the topic came up then, and when we announced my pregnancy this time it was restarted once I reached my second trimester. My stepmom really wants me to take part in the tradition, my half-siblings want me to take part in the tradition, my dad doesn't care as much but wants me to do it as a sign of full acceptance that I am a member of my stepmom's family and that my baby will be too. My husband and I are not using the tradition. I don't want to, and he doesn't care either way but believes the decision should be mine. And we have discussed what to say to everyone, and initially we went with a disclaimer that we were not using the names for our children because we wanted to both pick the first and middle names together. This started a response of people can have multiple middle names and think of how important and special the middle names will be, and how Elizabeth and Gabriel are very easy to pair with first names. We then attempted to shut down all conversations about this, and we said we did not want to have those names pushed on us. I stepped in when changing the conversation, and walking away was not deterring them, and said to end the conversation because it was getting tiring and I would take a step back if they could not let it go. My dad and stepmom then decided to approach me together, which was really them confronting me, and asked why I was so resistant to the idea, and I told them we gave a reason and I didn't need to keep giving reasons because they didn't believe me. My stepmom said it feels like it's because they are from her family and not from my mom or my dad's sides of the family, and she doesn't feel like that's fair. Dad told me it would make so many people happy, and isn't that worth it in the end even if they end up as second middle names. I told them it was not happening and they needed to respect the decisions my husband and I make as parents to our child. My stepmom told me I was being very disrespectful to her and her family and to my own siblings. My dad told me I was being stubborn for no reason at all. Comment 1. NTA. How are the middle names special if they're just like everybody else's? You have the kid, you pick the name. This shouldn't even be an issue, emo. But I also don't understand obligating and pressuring people to participate in a family tradition. I also don't understand how acceptance of or into your stepmom's family is in question after 20 years. If that's an issue, that signifies a bigger problem, emo, and that's probably why your stepmother is so adamant about following the family tradition. It's symbolic to her. But even if you do give your child the family middle names, that's only a band-aid for a deeper problem. Comment 2. NTA. Of course you're not an R. This is not your tradition. You want your own tradition, which is naming your kids whatever you want. Traditions are fine, right up until the part where people start bullying you into following them. And that is what your stepmother and your dad are doing. They can try and dress it up any way they want, but it's bullying. Tell your dad this flat out. And tell him to back off and take his wife with him. Comment 3. For sure, NTA. This is beyond ridiculous. Even if this was a tradition with your bio mom's family, their response here would still be ridiculous. Now is a great time to start setting some boundaries. Because I wouldn't see or speak to these people again until they agree to stop bringing it up.